Well, we'll leap right into it. You find me here in Saudi Arabia. I believe there's a big man called Tyson Fury out there hitting pads. Francis just had his go. So I'm waiting for them to kind of come and kick me out. So I want to leap right into it. Early this morning, I'm sure you woke up bright and early, checked your phone, see what's out there, see if there's any information. And Jon Jones is out of his fight with Stipe Miocic. They've scrapped the whole thing and they've called my friend and yours, Tom Aspinall, to come in
Yeah.
and save the day. What was your immediate reaction when you saw the news?
Well, I knew before anybody. I got called because Tom wasn't answering his phone. I get a call right away. Hey, will your guy go and do the fight? I said he would do the fight, but I had coincidence. I don't speak for Tom, but I just spoke to him 2 nights before, and he told me he never agreed that Sergei should have been the backup fighter. I hope that Tom makes this public, and I'm not trying to share an inside conversation, but we don't have a whole lot of time to get this ball rolling. I would like to get that word out there. Tom Aspinall is the only guy who ever said publicly, I will fight Sergei Pavlovich. As a matter of fact, I remember where I was when he said it. Nobody has ever said these words, right? But, and apparently, add Stipe to that list. I mean, Sergei is a backup fighter, which means if Jones get hurt, Sergei takes on Stipe. If Stipe gets hurt, Sergei takes on Jones. Everybody knows how a backup fighter works. But apparently in this situation, we had to defer back to my guy, the only guy. And you want to know when this happened? Tom Aspinall puts together the greatest roadmap and plan in the entire heavyweight division. As a matter of fact, for the entire sport, nobody laid out any kind of pieces. Tom returns after an injury, gets a win, grabs the microphone, and says, I'm going out to France. I'm watching Surreal's fight. I'm taking on the winner. Whoever wins between me versus the winner of that is going to qualify for the winner of Jones versus Stipe. Now, when Tom gets there, Surreal wins the fight. Surreal either doesn't know the opportunity he has or didn't follow his own sport because he ignored Tom completely. Now, that's okay. Tom then goes to the media, and he didn't have sour grapes about it. But Tom told the media right then, I am not going to bully Surreal. He knows why I was here. But I also know why he didn't call me out. He doesn't want the match. That's okay. I'm not going to pick on him. I'll move on. I'll go fight Sergei Pavlovich. Tom said it very calmly, and he said it very sincerely, but he's also the only person to say that he would do the fight. Sergei Pavlovich has shut off 6 guys in the heavyweight division in the first round in a row. This is Mike Tyson-esque. You got to go back to the Mike Tyson days when Don King was finding homeless people to take a few bucks and keep their mouths shut and jump in there with Mike on Showtime. I mean, right? It was a scam. But you had to scam guys to have somebody that's done as well as Sergei. You want the news flash? My guy, Tom Aspinall, current favorite. He's currently favorite at DraftKings right now. I don't know if that will hold up. In all fairness, it struck me as a bit of a surprise, only because Tom is 1-1 in his last 2, right? We had to suffer the injury with Curtis Blades. Sergei's won these 6 big fights. So it was a little bit of a surprise, but I do think the audience is seeing the same thing that Dana White and Hunter Campbell saw, which you have one guy who's willing, one guy with the courage to do it, one guy who asked for it. You always get what you ask for when you're the only one to ask. Tom deserves this fight. And I'll tell you one final thing, because I know you're trying to rush me here. It is an insult to call this an interim title fight. This is the undisputed championship fight. This is how the world needs to look at it. What we are discussing doing right now, right here as you and I talk, is taking Stipe and Jon Jones and having them fight at a minimum, in a best case scenario, 8 months from now. You're going to have Pavlovich versus Tom for an interim championship. Never in the history of our sport have you had a healthy interim champion and the return of your undisputed champion and have them not fight each other. That's weird. That's not the way it plays out. You are not going to have an interim champion that's going to have a whole bunch of steam because he not only represents the present, he's going to represent the future, right? Jones versus Stipe, there's some nostalgia and some loose ends there. They were both saying it was going to be their last fight. What's the difference? One of them hadn't fought in 2 years, and one of them's only fought once in 3.5 years. What difference does it make? If they're going to go do this fight over here, you're going to have a healthy, young interim champion, and you're going to make believe this is for the real belt. Come on, man. That is silly. This is for the true heavyweight championship.
You believe there is an argument that if Stipe did not want to fight Pavlovich, he's kind of missed his spot. And actually, if Tom wins, or even if Sergei wins that interim belt, they should be the one fighting Jon upon his return. Should he accept it, which, again, he might not want to do that. But do you believe that Stipe has kind of missed his shot here and maybe needs to sort of say, hey, I missed it. I wanted one guy. I didn't get that guy. It's time for me to call it a day.
Yes. Now, the one side that we don't know about Stipe, so I don't want to do an innuendo. The one side we don't know is if he was offered the opportunity to take on either Tom and or that has not been revealed to us. In fact, the way it was worded would lead you to believe that the company, Dana White, Hunter Campbell, have decided to take that match and preserve it somewhere down the road. I'm just sharing for you. Nobody's clamoring to see if we get down the road 8 months, which is the best case scenario. I mean, don't forget, this is a bad shoulder injury. Jon Jones is 36 years old. He's going to be 37. They took his growth hormone and his testosterone away. This isn't like the olden day where he could heal himself in record time. If he stays within the USADA pool, if it's 8 months, it's going to be the full 8 months. And I'll tell you another thing, to make believe that'll be 4 years. He's had one fight. Jon Jones is the heavyweight champion of the world that's never been punched in the face by a heavyweight, and he's never even punched a heavyweight in the face, right? Whatever that was surreal, was anything but a fight. We can call it a contest, and we can recognize it. I'm just sharing for you. That'll be 4 years with whatever that was. The only thing in between. Stipe at that point will have been out 3 years. Oh, by the way, his last time he was out there, he got carried out on a stretcher. There's nobody that's going to be clamoring to see those geriatrics at that point and then make believe that it's for the belt. So yes, if Tom wins the title, we will demand that when Jon returns, he takes on Tom. If he doesn't want to take on Tom, that's okay too. We just got to switch belts. You can't let him have an undisputed belt refusing to fight, guys. It doesn't work that way. It's never worked that way. And if right now in the short term, people think Jon has some kind of power due to a respect that will show of his past body of work, large at light heavyweight, that's fine. But you're going to miss what's going to happen if Tom gets the jump on Pavlovich in Madison Square Garden, the co-main event of a sought-after pay-per-view. Oh, and by the way, we're not going to sit 8 months to wait for Jon. We're going to fight again in roughly April. So we're not just going to have one win that also comes with the belt. We're going to have two, both on pay-per-view. We will be bigger stars than Jon, and maybe we'll give Jon the opportunity. And you know what? Maybe we won't.
No, there's something to be said. Should Tom walk in there, or even Sergei, but let's say Tom walks in there in New York State, in Madison Square Garden, Jon Jones is home and takes that belt. You know, who's really chasing who here at that point? It seems like Tom would have gone to the house, took what he wanted, and Jon's not really there to meet him and fight back. You know, it's almost, I think you're right. Tom could be in the driver's seat in that situation. But let me ask you, I know you guys talk strategy a lot. Tom relies on your strategy to get himself some success. When you look at this Sergei fight, there's this argument that, hey, Sergei hit so hard, Tom's got the wrestling, just take him down. Or do you see a route to victory for Tom on the feet due to his speed and his ability to get in and out and land those combos?
Oh, no, Tom can definitely do it on the feet. In fact, I don't know that I subscribe to go take him down right away. I don't mind the clinch. I don't mind if Tom wants to clinch him and push him into the fence. Tom has height. Sergei's actually got a few pounds on us, but Tom has height. He's got some real leverage, particularly if he gets into an underhook. Look, before we get there, one thing that I don't think we can debate, and you can give Sergei the nod for power. You want to know how much power Tom has? Enough. That's the answer. He's got enough. If he hits you, it doesn't really matter if Sergei hits you harder. Tom will put your ass down. But here's the difference. One thing that won't be argued is combinations and speed. Tom is just simply too fast. And if there's ever a mistake that Tom has made, because I can be real critical of him as well, sometimes he starts his combos with a kick. When he does that is when he's susceptible, not only to takedowns or clinches, but he's also susceptible to get some punches. He needs to finish with the kick. But those are small adjustments. That's a lesson that I feel that was learned the hard way against Curtis Blades. Yes, I think there's going to be a stand-up fight. But I think a number of guys had wilted to the fear of Pavlovich. And I don't believe that Aspinall is going to do that. Look, Sergei is very special. I don't want to take away from him. One thing about this sport, and you and I know this as well as anybody, we are going to fiercely adhere to the rules that we make up on the fly. Right? We don't have anything around an interim championship. This is a very weird scenario. Okay, Jon Jones allegedly, don't forget they took all his needles, all the good stuff. So that's going to be a very hard recovery at this age. It's a guy that's already sat for 3 years. This is a guy that's not taking good care of himself. I wish Jon the best. I don't want to kick him while he's down. I'm trying to be very realistic about the scenario, and I think Jon can handle a little bit of the business from me. Look, Jon Jones is going to be out 8 months in a best case scenario. That's going to put him at 37 years old to preserve a fight with what will then be a 42-and-a-half-year-old. And you do have to understand, that's 8 months in a best case. Yuri Prohaska was hurt for 7 days. In 7 days, they took the belt off of him. Jamal Hill was hurt for 2.5 weeks. They took the belt back. We're now led to believe that Jon can sit for 8 months, sit on his spot, sit on a championship where we're going to have a busy and active future of the division, whether that be Tom or that would be Sergei. I think in the very short term, that looks right. I don't believe after this fight and possibly one more on pay-per-view with these mega stars, Tom has an entire country behind him right now. Jon Jones on his best of days fights in front of a bunch of people dressed up as empty seats. Jon Jones and Stipe got assigned to this card. The tickets did so bad, they allowed a rumor that Covington and Leon were going to come in. They knew it wasn't. They just allowed the rumor because they needed some kind of buzz that they couldn't get from the Fireman and the drug addict. And then that was rude. That was rude. I'd like to take that
Chael,
back. But
Chael, come on.
Co-main event. They
Classy.
had a world title co-main event, and they still haven't sold out the Garden. I mean, these guys aren't a flop in their best of times. To make believe 8 months from now, all of a sudden people are going to be interested. Look, I think it's a tough sell. And I don't say that to kick those two guys. I respect what they're doing. I say it because I'm trying to add an obvious factor, which is us, the public, need to unionize. We need to get together and rise up above the man and let the world know this is for the championship. You don't get to call it an interim championship. You promised the world the heavyweight title would be contested on this date at this venue. You've got two heavyweights. Go contest the goddamn title you promised them.
How happy do you think Francis Ngannou is that he left the UFC now that Jon Jones fight is an extra year away and he wasn't going to get it for a long time anyway?
Well, hey, great segue, right? Because I know you're out there in Saudi Arabia getting ready for that fight. I actually had never thought about it from that perspective. I'm jealous that you came up with that and not me, because that's a very relevant point, right? Like, seeing the future is hard to do. And Francis Ngannou, I mean, Francis versus Tyson is the sporting mismatch of my lifetime. It is the the Harlem Globetrotters versus the LA Lakers. But Francis did want it, and he did find a way to get it. He deserves to have some credit for that. It's almost like this guy's a crystal ball. Now you mentioned the fact that he wanted to get the Jones fight anyway. You make a very fair point there.
Do you think, I mean, listen, we don't have to spend much time. I feel like people have offered their opinion on the Francis Tyson thing, but being that I'm here, is there a way Francis gets this done? Does he shock the world? Are you going to give that prediction on public?
No, but it would also be a very hard thing to shock the world. I mean, you got to understand, like, the greatest upset ever when people, particularly guys like you and I, are talking, we talk about Buster Douglas over Mike Tyson. That is always the big one. Then when you get a little more of an aficionado, maybe you talk about Holly Holm and Ronda Rousey. But you have to understand, one thing that Douglas had and Holly had for those nights of upset is they had an audience. There is nobody. I live in this space. I work for ESPN. This fight's on ESPN. ESPN has a crew out there. I found out this morning that these guys are fighting this weekend. I mean, this has been like, if you go out and do a fight, right, if a tree falls in the woods, but nobody hears it, doesn't make a sound. If these two bums go out and fight each other, but nobody watches it, does it matter? What world is there to shock if you're not watching the contest? So no, there's no ability to shock the world. Does he have an ability to beat that fat, slow gypsy? Yeah, I would imagine he does. Does he have an ability to impress the world? No.
We'll finish with this. As someone who's been so involved in Tom's journey, obviously for him to win the world title at Madison Square Garden, it would be quite a moment. But for you to know that you helped guide that young man there, what would it mean to you?
Yeah, it would mean a lot. It would mean a lot, and I don't want to overshadow. Like, Michael Bisping has also done a great job. I always have a little bit of jealousy, like for Tom's attention. Bisping and I have like this weird push and pull a little bit, but it will mean a lot. I mean, it's very fun as a fan. I'm a fan of the sport. I started as a fan. I'm a fan now. 20 years, I'll still be a fan, right? But it is very fun to identify something early. And Tom did have some down times. I mean, I could just go back to that Curtis Blade fight. That's a main event in his own arena. Throws 2 kicks. It was his own doing. He's go down, got to go have a surgery. It's a big deal. That surgery, most people don't ever get up from it. He got up, fought in a main event, stopped that guy, and now is going to go to the Mecca for his first world title opportunity, man. I'm proud of him. But it's nice of you to include me. Frankly, he did all the hard work. I just sat over here and observed it.
Chael, thank you very much for joining me. I'm going to go back to watch the men you spoke so highly of, hit some pads, and enjoy this spectacle and show that I've got over here.
Yeah, well, no, that's good. They can hit pads. They're sure as hell not going to hit each other Saturday. And if they do, no one's watching. I might go watch this open workout. That actually sounds interesting. The Globetrotters versus the Lakers. You should put that in their headline. The sporting mismatch of a lifetime, coming to you only this weekend from Saudi Arabia. Kaboom!